So this is Jamie Albert with United Maple Producers. I am here with our sponsor, Smoky Lake Maple Products, in the kitchen. And today we are going to be doing a maple cooking demo with Chef Shelly Platten from Healthy Chef Shell. And Shelly, you've been in the food industry for over 25 years, is that right?
Oh, at least since I was tall enough to reach a spoon in the kitchen, I've been cooking.
You're not only a professional chef, but an instructor with a focus in nutrition, correct?
Yes, I do a lot of corporate wellness. I do personal chef work with clients, especially people who have a lot of allergies or food sensitivities. And my focus really after graduating from culinary school has been working on health and wellness and really teaching people to cook healthy food using real natural products and cook locally and seasonally whenever possible.
Well, that's great. And you've often used maple syrup as a substitute for any processed sweeteners, focusing on flavor and freshness rather than just whatever's quick. But you use quickness too.
Right.
Some simple recipes.
Absolutely.
So, maple producers, you have a lot of maple syrup on hand. Why would you use processed sugar when you have fresh, real, pure, 100% maple syrup that came from your backyards? So Shelly is going to give us some recipes on different ways you can use maple syrup. Shelly, what are you going to make for us today?
I'm going to make two very simple recipes. You can probably scrounge up from pantry and refrigerator items you have at home, because if we want to cook fresh and fast at home, it's nice not to think you have to run to the grocery store. So today we're going to be making a really nice maple Dijon dressing that can work on salads as a marinade and be used all different ways. And we're also going to be making a fresh apple pear, kind of a compote type cooked fruit topping that you can use in many ways, both of course sweetened with fresh maple syrup.
That sounds wonderful.
First thing we're going to do is I'm going to start with making our salad dressing. Vinaigrettes are generally, it's about 2/3 oil and 1/3 acid, which in this case our acid would be apple cider vinegar. And I think with fall products and using something like maple syrup, I think apple cider vinegar is just a really nice vinegar, but you could use a red wine vinegar or something like a citrus, like lemon might be actually good with this also with the maple. So starting out our vinaigrette, general rule of thumb when you're making a vinaigrette, the very last thing you want to add is the oil. And you'd want to start with all your goodies that you're flavoring it with, which would be the acid, in this case the cider vinegar, makes it really nice and simple. We're going to start with a 1/4 cup of cider vinegar. And then of course, how are we making this taste so wonderful and take the edge off that puckery sourness of the vinegar? We're going to be using, of course, maple syrup, and we're going to be putting that right in with the vinegar.
So many commercial dressings include high fructose corn syrup and other
preservatives, stabilizers, artificial flavors. You buy salad dressing from the store, there's often just a laundry list of ingredients you can't even pronounce, and really who wants to eat that when you can put something that is so much healthier for you in your dressing. And it's so easy, you can just whip this up in minutes. We're going to be using some Dijon mustard. And this is not only a great flavoring, but the mustard also acts as an emulsifier, which means it's going to help the vinegar and the other ingredients combine with the oil and stay together so it doesn't immediately separate on us. It just helps it all stick together, kind of like an egg works as an emulsifier. Thank you. We're also going to be putting in some salt here, 3/4 teaspoon or so. I'm just using a sea salt and some fresh ground pepper. So this is the easy step, just using the whisk. And remember I said we add the oil last. We're whisking all of our flavors together. At this point, if you wanted to put in some fresh herbs, if you wanted to put in some garlic, this would be a great time to add that.
Nice.
And what also is really nice about using the maple syrup, using powdered, like a granular processed sugar would all end up in a clump in the bottom, and you'd be stirring for several minutes trying to get that sugar to dissolve. When you're using maple syrup, it blends right in. And the maple and the mustard play off each other just wonderfully. So now last we're adding our oil, and that is to help the entire mixture stay much more friendly combined, kind of like a family reunion where you want everyone to be together in the same room and everybody getting along. That's kind of what the Dijon mustard is going to be helping us do. Everyone wants to stay together comfortably because oil and the water obviously do not want to stay mixed. So we're just doing a little oil at a time, a few drops and dribbles here.
Oh, see, I always just dump my oil in. I've never taken the time. So
this helps it stay nicely emulsified, so it's going to not be, it still will separate eventually, but storing this in the fridge, I would say put this like in a glass canning jar or a container like that works great because plastic, the oil is going to want to get all gunky on the plastic. So storing this in a glass jar, when you want to use it, just give it a good shake. So we have the first half of the oil whisked in. At this point, we can put the rest in. I'm using an avocado oil. It's a nice buttery but clean oil as far as it doesn't have any real powerful taste. Like an olive oil, using an extra virgin olive oil in here would be quite strong. I would stick with sunflower, safflower, avocado, canola, something that doesn't have a whole lot of flavor on its own, maybe a light olive oil. And I rush this just a bit here, but still, this will be a lovely dressing. Now, this obviously is going to go great on greens, but another excellent way to use this would be mixed with, how about some roasted Brussels sprouts? This drizzled on roasted Brussels sprouts, phenomenal. It's also great drizzled on salmon. It has that nice balance of sweet and tart and savory. It's great on salmon. You could marinate some chicken breasts in this before you cook them, even drizzle it on the grill while something's grilling. This is a great all-purpose dressing. And what we're going to do right here for our demo, just to give you an idea of how easy and beautiful this can look, I'm going to throw together a quick salad. So I have a mixture of fall greens here. This is a kale chard spinach mix. The chard is these little beet-like leaves here. Really a nice hearty salad.
Those look healthy.
And we will put some shredded carrot in there because you eat with your eyes first, of course, so I'll get some color on there. A little purple onion. Now, I know restaurants like making tall salads, like you need a step stool to get at them. I don't need my salad quite that tall. And we have some cooked chicken breast here, which we're just going to shingle out on the salad. I sliced some, this could be rotisserie chicken, it could be Sunday's roasted chicken. It's a great way to use up some protein in your fridge.
Oh, what about leftover Thanksgiving turkey?
Oh, leftover Thanksgiving turkey.
Yum.
We got some cranberries, some leftover toasted nuts from a dessert. We're going to put some pumpkin seeds on here because, well, it's fall. And then we're going to drizzle some of this salad dressing on there. Put some over that chicken. Oh, this is such a scrumptious dressing. Such a nice balanced flavor.
Okay, well, that salad dressing recipe was awesome. So what else have you got on deck for us, Shelly?
Our other item that we will be cooking today is more of a dessert item, but luckily it lends itself to breakfast, snack time, all kinds of times of the day because we're using some nice seasonal fruit like apples and pears. You can do one or the other, both. It is totally up to you. I just happen to have apples and pears, so we're going to use both of them because they're great together in here. And we're going to be cooking those in a little bit of butter because everything's better with butter. It's just going to taste great in there. And we're looking to have a nice cooked warm fruit compote that you can use all different ways. Now, once these apples and pears are cooked, and this doesn't take long, you could do this easily in the morning if you had some extra time, like on a Saturday morning. But what's great about this is you can make this ahead of time and have it in your refrigerator, and say you wanted to just make a quick yogurt parfait, or you heated some up and decided, you know what, this pork chop I made, it's kind of a boring pork chop, and what can we dress it up with? Oh yeah, I have some of this compote, and you could put it on some pork chop that needed a little help. So what we're going to do is starting with a pear. This is a nice firm pear. No one would accuse this pear of being rotten. But pears are like avocados. They have about a 90-second window of opportunity, and then the pear is usually too ripe or it's not ripe enough. Pears are a little tricky that way. So we're going to be dicing up the pear. And if you want to use a red, like an Anjou pear, Basque pear, Bartlett pear, Does not really matter if you have some homegrown pears in an orchard. That's just a fabulous way to use up some pears that are maybe a little nicked and beat up, and maybe you can only use part of them and they're not like a fresh eating pear, but you would definitely like to use them in some way. That's not letting them go to waste. I think a lot of people who make their own maple syrup are probably also into gardening and using things from the land. This is a perfect way to use up some maybe less than perfect apples and pears. Just chopping those up a little bit. Doesn't need to be anything real fancy. This is not a time to worry about, is it a perfect small dice? We're just going to scoop those up and put those right in the warm, sizzling butter. Sizzling butter.
Would you happen to know if this would preserve up well?
I would think you could can this quite like you would can chunky applesauce.
Okay.
I would check with a canning book just to make sure, but I would think this would lend itself really well to canning because it's basically the same things you'd have in an applesauce. And I just took the peel off of a Macintosh apple. And again, we're just going to be cutting the core out of that. You could leave the skin on. I think with this apple, it's just a kind of skin that doesn't lend itself to staying like attached to the pieces of apple really well. It tends to fall apart. So we're just going to take the skin right off this apple before we cut it up. So this again, any kind of apple really that you have to use would be awesome in here. And this mixture also freezes. If you had, say, a leftover portion of this and you didn't think you were going to be using it, or you want to save it for convenience in the future, you could easily freeze this in a Ziploc bag. Just pop it in a bag, flatten it out, and you could freeze this mixture, which makes it really convenient as well.
With the holidays, I would love to give a gift of a ready-made mixture in the jar. I think that would be really
would that be awesome?
You know, people are giving so many handmade gifts, and
it means so much more. And what a tasty gift to give somebody. This is awesome on pancakes, waffles. It's such a nice mixture. And we had a few pieces that were a little anxious to get out there. And of course,
the magic.
The magic. Some of the awesome sauce here, we're going to be putting in some maple syrup. And again, why use refined sugar when you can use something natural like maple syrup? You're getting some antioxidants, you're getting trace amounts of calcium, potassium, magnesium, iron.
Good stuff.
It's
true.
A sweetener that still has some natural goodness from the earth left in it. It isn't chemically processed to death. White refined sugar is run through charred animal bones to make it white. That does not appeal to a lot of people. I guess I would rather trust a tree than a chemist. You know, if I was going to have some sweetener in my food. What a great way to sweeten something tasty like apples and pears. Just use some maple syrup. All right, and last but not least, we are going to put some spices in here.
That's really beginning to smell good, and you haven't even added the spices.
Oh, it's going to smell wonderful in here for hours. It's going to smell like a fall candle, but one you can enjoy the benefits from eating. So we're also, before we forget, let's put our craisins in there. I like the craisins. They add a little tartness, nice color, obviously. And we're having ground cardamom that we're putting in here. If you are not familiar with cardamom, it's kind of a fruity, a little too much there. It's kind of a fruity ground seed pod. It's quite popular in Scandinavian desserts. They use it quite a bit.
Okay.
A lot of people aren't as familiar with it, but if you're not a fan of cardamom, you certainly could use pumpkin pie spice, put a little nutmeg and ginger with your cinnamon. You're just looking for that nice fall flavor profile with the warm aromatic spices. But you can just see how quickly that breaks down. This doesn't take hardly any time at all to get that. Oh, the smell. Isn't that smell wonderful?
Heaven. It is so good.
Such a nice smell. So we just let that cook for a few minutes. Some crunchy nuts go great in here. Hazelnuts are awesome. You could use pecans, you could use walnuts. At the end, I'll throw in some walnuts here. But what I'm going to demonstrate this with today is making a really simple yogurt parfait. Like I said, this is awesome on pancakes and waffles, and you could spoon it on chicken. You could put it over a bowl of hot oatmeal that's looking pretty bland and boring.
Yes.
Oh, put this on your oatmeal.
Yeah. No brown sugar. This is perfect, and it's way more healthy than just dumping sugar on your morning cereal.
Oh gosh, we're so beyond that. We're going to have a little granola in there and just some vanilla yogurt on top of our granola. Makes a great snack. Now, if you were taking this to work, say you have a job where you pack your own lunch every day, what a great way to have a little container like, say, this. You put your yogurt and your granola in there, and you could layer this on top. This is an awesome way of having a nice filling lunch with a lot of fiber and a lot of nutrition. Skip the vending machine and the candy bar and bring something like this. You have enough energy to keep you going all afternoon or morning. So there we have the nuts stirred in, and it gets kind of syrupy. You don't need to cook it much more than that because the maple syrup's already nice and liquefied in there. We're not fighting trying to get crystallizing of sugar and trying to get sugar not to burn on the bottom. The maple syrup just blends right in so nicely.
Wow, that's right. Sugar does make it a little more difficult.
Right.
That smells fantastic.
And maple syrup's a little
great.
sweeter, so you actually end up using less. So it's just, there's so many wonderful reasons to use maple syrup. It just lends itself to such deliciousness. Sprinkle a little of that on top. Oh, this is Pinterest worthy.
I think
Look
so.
at that. Oh, warm. You get your crunchy, cold, warm, sweet, tart. What a riot of flavors and colors.
Well, great. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing, for being here today.
Absolutely.
For those of you who want access to the recipes, we will have them on our Facebook page. Be sure to check in at the United Maple Producers Facebook page so you can view and download them. And also, if you want to learn more about Chef Shelley's cooking, please be sure to visit her Facebook page at Healthy Chef Shell. That's right. That's
Yes.
Shell with 2 L's. And check out some of her cooking classes as well. But most of all, we want to thank Smoky Lake Maple Products for making today's webinar possible. If you liked what you saw today and you would like to learn more about what United Maple Producers does, be sure to visit our Facebook page and check us out. Like and share this video. And if you haven't done so already, visit unitedmapleproducers.org and sign up for our newsletter so you can learn more about what we do and check it out. Thank you so much. Are there any other, there's always more ways to use maple syrup in place of sugar. Coffee drinks or...
It is fabulous in coffee or a milk steamer. Instead of dumping a tablespoon of sugar, maple has so many other background flavors and kind of a nutty earthiness to it. Maple syrup is just fabulous. Even like you have something as simple as a ham and bean soup and you get done making the soup and there's just something not quite there. It's just a little flat, just a little spoonful of syrup stirred into like a bean and ham soup just kind of brings out the other smoky bacon flavors, and it's just a great flavoring to have in your kitchen for all sweetening purposes.